Man, we are making progress through the Mike Lunney Marching Band Academy.
We are. It's almost time to graduate. Bum, bum, bum,
Is
bum,
there certificates at
bum,
the end?
bum. Yeah, I can make one. If you want to email me, I will give you a certificate.
But you have to listen. I don't know how you verify.
Hey, I can even lie and say give them a certain amount of professional development hours through Region 14. I'm sure I can
Think they
figure out.
could use that in a job interview? Well, I have my Mike Lunney Marching Band certificate.
Well, it's worth something. Let's just put it that way.
That's great. So we have talked about some. Uh, it's the important stuff that we think we know, but it's great to review. It's
Mhm.
great to say, or if I've never had some, and listen, there's all kinds of things that we learn in school, and then we do some real world classes after we graduate. And I think some of this stuff is kind of that real world. What are the expectations? What is the standard that an adjudicator is looking for? How do even if it's not in a contest mindset, how do I make my kids understand the standard, or what can I share with them? Real tangible, uh, not commands. I don't want to use that word, but instruction,
Mhm.
maybe teaching, so that they go, oh. And so I think these have been great so far. Looks like we're going to do a little bit of review on some sets and body motion as we get rolling today. But what are we going to talk about the most today? Where are we going today?
Well, yeah, just being a good steward of following what I'm supposed to do, I am reviewing things like I told band directors review every day, right? We're going to
Right.
talk about how we explain to students and give them the vocabulary for how we do a forward march, a backwards march, a mark time, step outs, different things we do that if we introduce it in summer band and have the kids understand the vocabulary, that it's not this total mind blown moment that I want you to do step outs in your horn arc now. And they're going,
Right.
what are we doing? What are we doing? And I really feel so strongly about this that, there's very few things in life I feel this strong about, but band directors get a certain amount of positive feedback by working drill and music.
I
It
agree with
just
that.
it feels good. You feel like you're making progress. But I will dare say that if you don't have time to take care of these fundamentals, nothing you do in drill and music will be good.
We've talked about that before. Sometimes it's like I just don't. I have this amount of time. I don't have time to do some of the things you're saying. You don't have time not to do.
Right. My goal is, and I tell them, so you must do an easier show.
Yeah.
I would rather have a show of 16 drill sets and 3 staged moments with a little bit of flutter step and very well defined fundamentals and a grade 1 level of music.
Right.
And you know what we call that in UIL marching in Texas?
A
It's
one.
called a first division. It's not, hey,
Absolutely.
I want to do what the Blue Devils are doing this year, and I'm going to have this double tonguing feature with my trumpets, and we're going to work on that forever.
Yeah.
Then it just all comes out like sludge, so just keep that in mind. If you feel like you're getting behind, there's nothing wrong with altering the amount of sets in your show. I actually had one year I took out the entire third tune
Wow.
because we did a journey show. It's just at this time of when I'm talking about, we had state every other year in Texas.
Right. So
And
off
so
year.
it was the off year. I always called it that, but I hated that definition because off year is like we don't really work. But it was the off year from state marching. We were doing a journey show, and our closer was "Don't Stop Believing." And believe me, we stopped believing about the end of the about minute 5.3. We stopped believing real quickly that we are not going to we're going to stop believing. So we believed that we weren't going to make it is what we believed. So
Sure.
we just took out the entire third tune and we did a reprise from the beginning of the introduction, and we did 2 extra drill sets and took out 16 drill sets, and we made a 1, and no one knew the difference.
You know the way you say that though, and I'm glad that worked that way. But there are certain songs that I'm driving, I go, man, that would be a cool chart. Until you actually hear, some things just don't translate across.
No.
And anyway, I won't go too far. But
you're right. They don't, especially when they're very lyric driven.
I can't imagine, because I played that on my bass several times. That bass line never. If I was a sousaphone player or a low brass player, I would be like, "Oh, this is the. I hate this chart."
Yeah. It's the same two measures until it finishes.
Exactly. So okay.
Yeah.
So
So this first part, Derek, I'm going to go through really quick because it is just simply a review from our last podcast.
okay,
So body warm ups, stretching of arms, legs, lower body, shallow squats. Maybe do an easy jog to the goalpost and back. Just try to get the blood flowing. Just wake everybody up. Use music played over the PA system by the drum majors to create energy, so it's not just silent at that
I
time.
do want to stress this though, Mike. Just because the fact that we're repeating it should be a hint that it's important.
Yes, and
That you
it's
should not overlook this stuff.
and hopefully if they're interested they'll go back and listen to the previous podcast and
Sure.
and be able to we go more in depth with that. But
Okay.
yeah, but there's a reason it's being repeated. Position of attention, your 5 points of alignment, and the kids need to understand that not every kid, because will every kid learn every bit of vocabulary? No. But enough will that you'll be able to make success happen. But the points of alignment are ankle, knee, hip bone, shoulder, and that bone of the base of your skull behind your flap of your ear. Those all have to line up. I like feet, heels together, toes apart at 90 degrees, but that's very controversial and debatable. So, just allow, whatever you do, make it the same. Toes together is easier to clean, but harder to do body movement. I'll tell you that. Knees slightly flexed, but not visibly. I want them to be flexed, but not visible when they're
You're not
wearing their band
crouching.
bibbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they have their band bibbers on, I don't want there to be an obvious break in the knee. And when they're standing there in their shorts and summer band, you can probably see a little bit of it,
Sure.
but we want it hidden by the bibbers. Stomach muscles in and line up with the 5 points of alignment. Lift your rib cage. We went over the last episode how we do that. Arms at side with elbows slightly rounded without equipment. Because that's how we all start. A chin elevated 20 degrees and 80%. I like this. 80% of the weight of the body is on the platform of the feet. And I do a little exercise where they lift their heels up off the ground and they let the heels come down until they just barely touch. And I call that the sweet spot. The sweet spot's where the heels barely touch, but they can tell most of their body weight's in the front of their feet.
Right. But they're not using it for support.
Not using it for support. They're just touching the pad. Okay. Horns up with 4 clicks. The horns come up and it's really a 1 count horns up, but it's slower than a snap. We try to avoid any kind of snappy horns up because you will be adjudicated poorly on it. So all it takes is one kid to mess up and the judge is going to say, that's a really cool horns up, but it needs to be together. Okay.
Right.
If you do move on 5, lock on 6. Once I did that, I was never adjudicated poorly on horns up ever.
Awesome.
Power triangle, use fingertips together, thumbs together.
Sorry, I tripped on my fingers.
That's right. Tripped on my fingers. But I kind of went in more detail on the last podcast. I don't want to go through all that again, but I do want to say keep your wrist straight for those bell fronts to keep all the energy and the strength of holding the horn up is used with your back muscles. And how we start every marching sequence. It's always 4 metronome clicks, and then 5 and 6 is horns up. 7 is a pause. 8 is always the word push. And count 1 of the next measure is count 1. That's when the heel contacts, or marching backwards, the platform contacts behind you. Okay. We do it the same way every time, whether it's 3/4 time, whether it's 4/4 time, 5/4 time, does not matter. And we need a metronome to teach this. Your metronome is not optional.
Right.
Okay. The only exception I'll give you, because I used it, I guess, does that make it right? I don't know. Is when I used music. And I mentioned before, if you want to email me as a director, I've got a list of about 40, 45 band tunes that are segmented by metronomic tempos, and they're all clean and appropriate to be played in front of the school board. So you don't have to worry about anything. And it's you can pick something of the tempo of your opener.
Right.
And work box drills just enough to freshen it up for those poor kids,
But I'm going to jump in real quick and I'm going to say 2 things. Number one, as I think you were talking about every kid grabbing the vocabulary and here's what I know. When I was in high school, I had a couple of movies that I just loved and watched repeatedly. And it's going to show off how much of a teenage boy I was. Stripes was one of those.
Okay.
I watched it enough that I could say the words with the movie.
Right.
There were several movies that I could give you line for line, inflection, make the facial expression that the movie actor was going to make simply by being exposed to it. So I think that a great point is the more you say this stuff, they may roll their eyes, but if they can say it with you, job well done.
Yes. Yes. There'll be enough of them that'll get it. I always tried to shoot for 90%.
And the other thing I would say is if you want to be excellence, it's not throwing something in and hope what you are, what you continually do.
Right. And it has to be written down.
Right.
Because so many directors, I'll ask them, said, where do you have written down your marching fundamentals? And they'll say, oh, I just kind of teach it. And if they're by themselves, that sort of makes sense. I mean, they can teach it to their section leaders and keep moving forward. But if you have a staff of 2 or 3 band directors, you don't want to have to be teaching them during summer band.
Sure.
So have it written down. And that way, if you want to change it, you can obviously, like, it's a fluid thing. It's like the Constitution. It has its basis of legitimacy, but it can be changed.
Right. And here's the beauty of what we're talking about. My responsibility, what I do for a living, I write SOP. I write our operating procedures.
Yeah.
I try to write out, this is how you receive product when it comes in from a carrier. This is how you do this operation in our computer system. And I promise you, the first time I write it out, I'll go back and I'll hand it to somebody. And as they're saying, but I don't understand how you leave so much out the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you read it and actually make yourself do it, you go, oh, wait, but I need to add that. And so by the time you have this finished product, it should be good and easy enough that somebody can pick it up and understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
You may have to teach some definition to vocabulary words, but I say it this way. If I'm not here, it may take you a while but you should be able to sit down at the computer and do most of the things we do.
Right.
If I've written it well. And if I've written it well, I don't have to worry about, am I missing anything in my teaching?
Mm-hmm. And it makes it easier when you need to modify behavior.
Right.
And it also makes it easier for the person on the other end because they can reference the material.
Exactly.
I know I sold firearms for academy for a while, and there was a very strict operating procedure to how to take an entire pallet of firearms off a truck and get all the store cameras situated. And they talk to you through the intercom from Houston. And you had to go through every single step of what had to happen, clearing each firearm. And there was no deviation from that standard operating procedure. And it was nice because in the middle of it, I could pull it up on my phone and go, step 41, here it is.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, what do we do next, sir?
Right.
So that's and that was actually, believe it or not, sort of strange correlation, but doing that with Academy was why I wrote all this down.
Right. And
isn't that interesting? It wasn't band directing. I wrote it all down because of Academy.
There are things that seem daunting and tasks that you're like, this is probably going to take a minute. But once you do it, you never have to do it again. Even if you're modifying, it's a 5-minute switch or a change. But the amount of time you save from that point on is something that most people never realize till they do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talk about, I don't have time. You have to take the time to do it right up front.
Yeah. You don't think you have time to do it right at the beginning. You definitely don't have time to redo it later.
Exactly.
There's not enough time in the day for all that.
All right. Operations manager shutting back down. I'll get out of the way.
All right. Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. But that was the impetus for me to write all this down, was working for an entirely different system, and seeing how it works so well for them with their 2,000 stores. And it's like, hey, this, how stupid I am. This makes sense. I should really write this down. Yeah. I mean, I could memorize 6 logins because we couldn't write down our logins for the NIC system. I can memorize 6 logins. They changed every month,
Yeah.
But then I went, oh my gosh, this is so incredibly intelligent.
Right. Somebody thought this through.
Yeah, if I want to know how to do this in the gun vault, this is what I do. You know,
Yeah.
so I just applied the same thing to marching band. You
You're
know,
making me do my shooter imitation. Makes you think, don't it, Gunny?
makes you think, Gunny. That's right. Much more colorful though, and without a podcast. Okay. So one thing we went through all the positions of alignment, how we stand at attention. We've went through all of that in previous episodes and lessons. Now we're talking about the step off.
Bum, bum,
Yeah.
bum.
Yeah. Yeah. We need that chung kong on Law and Order. Okay. I prefer using a modified straight leg. And for those that are really like band geeky to the 100% like me,
That sounds like a dance step.
yeah, we do the gritty and then we do the modified straight leg.
Not no stanky leg
But-
right now.
But never at the same time. You do it consecutively. But you know, we've gone through a whole series of where you remember the days of the high knee lift and the chair
I
position.
do. Yeah.
And you point the toe down, went through that, marching through ladders, you know what I mean, to make sure we did the right step size. We went through, and some groups still do it through a full straight leg, where I mean the knee was straight the whole time. So we're almost peg legging the whole time, the marching step. And I personally feel like that's really hard to clean.
Oh yeah.
And not only is it hard to clean, I would go as far as to say, without any authoritative material, I think it's really hard on the kids' joints.
I agree with that.
I think it's very, very unnatural. And so if a kid does that for 4 years, I think there's going to be some problems. You know, if a kid's predisposed to a bad hip, you're going to bring that out pretty quickly. We tried to do straight leg 1 year, and I'll do this as an authoritative moment. I had more injuries that year from kids marching than any other year I ever had marching band in 31 years, because we tried to do full blown straight leg, and it tore them up. And I said, I'm never doing that again. You know,
It just didn't even make sense. Didn't even look good, in my opinion.
yeah, it looks very contorted and unnatural, but it does, when done well, it does look really clean. But at what cost?
And I'd be this guy. Thank you for wearing white pants and white shoes with a stripe on the side and marching stiff legs so I could pick out every single mistake you made.
That's right. It exposes everything you do. Okay. And so, without going into too much detail, I believe I tell the kids, you must squeeze the grape while marching. And in danger of being censored by the federal government. What I mean, it's like having a grape between your cheeks.
Pinch the penny.
Pinch the penny, man, between your butt cheeks, because you've got to maintain your gluteus maximum. What is gluteus maximus?
You're trying to say muscles again.
Yeah, your dadgum butt muscle. it be the biggest muscle on your dadgum body.
Squeeze your hiney.
Squeeze your hiney. You know. So we're done with that now. From now on,
Okay, moving on.
Moving on, we just say squeeze the grape, and you can relate every bad TikTok video you've ever seen into that. Okay, then and the kids will. Okay, in fact, they will do videos for you. I think the funniest moment I ever had. Talk about chasing a tangent. We were at state finals in 2002, and warming up in prelim, warming up in finals. So we're in the parking lot. It's already dark, you know. And so this kid, section leader of the baritones, brings me up a Ziploc locked bag. And he said, Mr. Lunney, in your honor, we squeezed a whole bag of grapes for you.
Here's our grapes.
And I didn't know if he was serious or if they just put it in the bag and stomped on it, but I wouldn't touch it. But that was a classic moment. He just handed that to me on the podium. Said, here's your squeezed grapes. It took us an hour last night to squeeze all these.
We got them.
We got them, man. We got you, Mr. Lunney. Our grapes are fully squeezed. So now I really will leave that. I apologize. Okay. For people who have been offended by such. For people who are entertained, keep listening. There's more coming. Okay.
If you're offended by that, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room, man. You need to get onto something else here. Extension, we talk about maintaining the length of the leg, moving from the hip. You try to maintain the top 3 points of alignment in your leg, your ankle, knee, and hip. We want that to be as straight as possible with a little tiny bit of bend. Not so much that it makes the bibbers bend, but enough that where you can feel that little bend in your leg. Okay.
Right. So you don't necessarily want to see the break at the knee in your bibbers.
Right. We don't want to see a bicycle step. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
We don't want a bicycle step. And the tay of the beat, or for you old schoolers, the and. Okay. The end of the beat is when the ankles cross. And that's a real important thing to bring out to especially freshmen, because they will try to, some will do it where it's like the turf or the deck is really hot and they'll just move their feet really quick and get to the next step. So it's not a very methodic, rhythmical motion.
Looks
They're
kind of
just
robotic. Yeah.
looks robotic. Or they'll do the opposite. It's like having tar on the field and their feet are stuck to
Molasses.
it.
Yeah.
Molasses, and they just pull out of it and just go real quick in between. Just really emphasize when they count, have them count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or 1 tay, 2 tay, 3. And tay is where the ankles cross. If the weather's considerate and they're wearing jeans, it's where the jeans brush.
That makes sense.
Think about
That's
that.
good. Yeah.
I say, yeah. So where your jeans brush. 1, chick, 1, chick, 2, chick, 3, chick, 4, chick. That's where that'll happen. Okay.
Okay.
But in shorts, it's just where your ankles cross. When halting, they always say the words platform close, because the right foot is at platform here's vocabulary for you guys, should have been keeping up. It's platform and at a tendu in front of your body at the angle in which you want your feet to be in position at attention. That's a lot of vocabulary real quick, my friend.
No, that's great. A tendu is the only one that threw me off for a second.
Yeah, tendu is just toe first.
It almost sounds like an Italian curse.
It's a ballet.
Tendu.
It's a ballet term, my Cro-Magnon podcaster friend. Ballerinas tendu, when they put their foot out and touch with their toe in front of their body, they're doing a TENDU with a little above the U. That's the official word for it. Okay.
That may be so, but I'm probably still going to tell somebody a tendu at some point today.
Yes. And in most bands, I will say tendu just because it relates to a lot of body movement. A lot of bands will just say point and close.
Yeah.
Which makes more sense to us redneck folk in our Dodge Ram trucks. Point and close. Yes, sir. I can do that. Okay. And I put on this fake Southern accent, even though when I speak like normal, I still sound like cornbread.
You didn't need to act like
no. I always think I don't have an accent till I order something from like J.W. Pepper on the phone, and I talk to them in Indiana or New York, and I sound like cornbread.
Right. Well, how y'all doing today?
They go, sir, could you repeat that address again? That's Antley Road, 4502. 5. So how many numbers was that, sir? 4. How many numbers was what you just said? 1. What number? 4. You said 1. I said 4. So, oh, the heck with it. I'm just getting on the computer. The computer only speaks one accent. Okay. Enough of that. We're really getting off topic.
Man, you have scared my gut.
Redneck America, man. We're the Bible Belt. We're the bucket.
And proud.
And sometimes ashamed. Okay.
Bless their little hearts.
Bless their, I'd say to my band, bless your hearts. They knew exactly. You don't know a thing about what you're doing, but you just did something. Bless your hearts.
It's sorry. My wife's dad used to tell her, bless your pointed little head. I have no idea what that means. I said, you have a pointed head?
Oh, I know exactly what that means because it fits the dunce cap.
Right.
Remember the old dunce caps? That'd be the joke. They must have a pointy head because you move the dunce cap and their little head. That's why the dunce cap fit on their head really well.
That's funny.
Okay, now we're getting to the 1920s. Sorry, we're in the 2020s.
So when halting,
do not have a pointy head. Okay. Now, forward march. You swing the left foot out from the hip. Now, this is important. You prep with a push with the platform of the right foot. So I push down with my right platform that makes my left hip come up just enough off the ground where I can move my left foot away from my body without peeling my heel off the ground.
Right.
That's old school WT, Texas Tech was the peel the heel off the ground. You remember those days?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was there. That's how we did it, man.
IR one.
Yeah, and some bands still do it that way, and that's fine. But to me, I say it's fine, but it's really hard to clean unless you got college kids. You better have a dadgum good high school band if you're going to clean that kill step and that peeling of the heel off the ground and kicking off in the subdivision. That's pretty tough, okay? And I like to do it where and I'll show them with the 2 drum majors and one drum major. You can't speak. One drum major will get behind the other. And I'll say, now, okay, stand at attention, the first drum major. Now, drum major behind them, tap the back of their left foot with the tip of your toe. And when you tap their foot, make sure that they just push their left foot straight out. They don't pick it up off the ground. And it's amazing. They'll tap that left foot and that left foot will just slide right out. Because immediately that drum major knows instinctively when that other drum major's toe touches the back of their shoe, that they know immediately they push down with the right platform at the same time the left foot's moving forward. So they don't have to pick their left foot up off the ground.
Right.
Guess what picks up? Their left hip.
Huh.
The whole leg comes up like a half inch.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And that makes it where it looks super clean, easy to execute, easy to teach, easy to clean. Okay.
Right.
So as the heel touches, we teach them to have the heel spike when the heel touches in front of them. And you begin this process. Then you begin right then the same process as the left foot rolls down on the outside of the foot. Guess what finally touches the platform of the left foot? Once the platform of the left foot touches, that's where the right foot slides.
Man, if you're doing this, if you're breaking this down, it seems really awkward, but all together in fluid motion, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it might date me a little bit because I don't see these devices anymore. Do you remember the old Nordic track that was like cross-country skiing?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like cross-country skiing. The way you make your left foot move forward in cross-country skiing, because I did this in North Dakota as a little kid. My grandpa would put skis on us and make us cross-country ski or do snowshoes because we lived there for a year and a half. And then so he'd say, "Oh, quit that." I said, "What? What, Grandpa?" He'd say, "Do not push your left foot forward with your left leg.
Right.
Push it with your right foot." And what he was saying to me now into my terms, push with
platform
your
of your
platform to make your left ski move forward without picking your ski. So don't pick your ski up so far off the ground. It just has to move forward unless you're going over a mogul or something. You just have to move forward. And same thing in ice skating. Think about that. So it's a very Nordic thing. But I remember those old Nordic track things. I don't think they even exist anymore. But you just move your feet back and forth. But it's a very good analogy to marching.
Right. I think the elliptical has taken over that. But
yeah,
tell me if this is a bad thing to say. And you can say, nope, get that out of this recording. I don't want that in there. It almost feels like we're talking about if you use the term in exercise, low impact. Running is a hard impact thing. It jolts your joints. But those ellipticals were kind of designed so there's no harsh banging of any, your feet. You're not slamming them down into the ground. Is it wrong to think as you push with your right platform and you slide your left foot out, you're thinking about, smooth, low impact, not aggressive movement? I don't know if that's right. I think you can still be aggressive, but.
No, you're right on track. You're exactly on track. We want to do it in the most comprehensive fluid motion possible because fluidity is hard to judge. And I'm getting back into what are the judges looking for. And I know some of my guys out there, the Stephen Cox of the world, they just clinched. You know what I mean? Because they're like, "Oh my gosh, Mike, come on, man." But man, it's the reality we're all facing as we're starting.
But even from the standpoint of presentation to your audience, what are you trying to present? I'm trying to present a fluid show, and my kids are learning how to do that. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be the adjudicators. They're the ones that are going to write it down.
Yeah.
But everybody watching is going to go, that's kind of herky-jerky.
Yeah, and I would go so far as to say, I told my band, said all the people in the stands on Friday night, they are our adjudicators.
Right.
And when I was in Holiday, this was years back, they've been at state marching contest since 1993. Think about that for a second. They've never missed a time when the door was open. And I had to get onto my band parents. I was there for 2 years because they would literally chew out their own individual kid when they came off the field. And I'd say, guys, your job's to buy a snow cone and to tell them you love them.
Right.
I said, stop it. Because all of a sudden we're like grandparents were in the state honor band of Holiday. And now their grandchildren are marching in the Holiday high school band. So that's a shout out to Mr. Dane Richardson. He's a good friend of mine at the Holiday Band Hall. And sometimes the parents, they're still our adjudicators. They're looking and going, that other band was better. Well, why was it better? Most parents don't know, but they know. They don't know why, but they know. The Holiday Band parents, they could break it down and write it down for you.
They could verbalize it for you.
It was frightening, man. My phone was blown up with messages by Monday morning. It was like, hey, have you looked at set 41?
It's kind of like going into the coffee shop and seeing all the critical faces.
Yeah, they all stare at you at the same time. Have a seat, Mr. Lunney. We've got something to talk about.
Mr. Lunney, let's talk about Friday night.
Let's talk about Friday night. It didn't quite go the way we anticipated. But yeah, we get through that forward motion thing. The heel spikes as you begin this process with the right leg. The next thing is don't lean into the step off. That's one of the number one problems.
Anticipate is the way you used to. I used to hear that all the time. Stop anticipating.
Yeah. And what's funny about that, Derek, is we don't do that in any other thing in our life, do we?
No.
Think about that. If we're up in the middle of the night, we're guys of a certain age, right? We get up, we have to go use the restroom sometimes. If the lights are off, we don't lean towards the light switch in the dark and then reach out and hit no, we don't anticipate it because 2 hops and a crash and we're done. So we reach out with our arm. We know exactly where that light switch is. Boom. And it's the same thing when we get to our car door, we don't lean to our car. Good Lord, it looks stupid, but we just do it. I don't know why, but bands, and I did it too, and I got chewed out, but don't lean to the step off. Don't allow that upper body to sway forward. Don't allow it to sway back and forth. You must control your torso muscles. You must activate the quads, quadriceps. We're back to muscle groups. The muscles on the front of your leg. My hamstrings are weak. My quads are strong. I can tell you that from doing the circuit equipment.
Quadriceps, activate.
Yeah, activate. Yeah, Power Rangers, activate. Pull up the toe for full extension as you're moving forward. And there's 2 little drills we would use to make this work. One was the toothpaste drill, and one was the spiking drill. Toothpaste was the heel would come forward and hit. Then you had 4 counts on the mat to slowly squeeze your foot down. Then very quickly, your right foot would go boom, and hit on the heel. Use the next 4 counts to squeeze down slowly.
Yeah.
They were squeezing the toothpaste out of the tube. For spiking, we would move the heel would touch. Then the next one, the heel would touch, and our platforms would never make contact again with the ground after the initial push. And it'd be at a half step. And it made us control our upper body and gain strength. It also did one more thing. Here's band hack number 49. If you teach the kids how to spike correctly with their feet, then you're going to have a drill move somewhere where low brass are moving at like a 8 to 5 or bigger step size. And your little flutes will be moving like you've got 16 counts to move 7 inches on the field. And you cannot activate your feet, roll, platform. So guess what we have them do? They spike. They spike all 16 counts. Their toes stay in the air the whole time. That way, the Darth Vaders in the press box, they look and they go, ooh, what nice uniformity with foot position throughout your entire ensemble. Visually, that is exceedingly pleasing. They might not even notice the kids are spiking. They just know that all the toes are exactly the same. All the feet are the same height. So toes are the same height off the ground. And here's an important point here. The sternum, the middle of your chest leads the way. When you move forward, the foot moves, then your sternum follows the feet. Right. As it moves forward. The sternum doesn't move, and then your foot catches the weight of your upper body.
Okay.
And get up out of your chair, band director, and figure it out. You know what I mean?
Sitting here going,
Yeah. It's a lot to think about, but here's the cool part. Once you figure out that forward march and that glide step, I'm just going to call it a glide step, even though that's an old term. Flex toe is remember the old days, flexing that toe as high as we could. We're kind of away from that now. It's more of a medium flex toe and a medium leg move. We've kind of taken things down to a level to where it's more, I don't know, what's the word when they build cars? It's the dials all fit the hands. It has a certain term to it physically, that everything feels like it's natural. Ergonomic. There we go. Thank you. That's why I pay you the big money, man. It's everything's ergonomic instead of like, let's do a high knee lift to a chair at a 90 degree and point our toe to the ground. And let's do that while we're playing King Cotton as a march while we're trying to play eighth notes above the staff on oh my God. And we tried so hard and it just was not ergonomic. Okay. So we're trying to make it more ergonomic. So that's with it. Now, the next thing is backward march. Now, I'll tell you this, Derek, backwards march is where I usually talk the most negatively about a visual performance in a marching band.
That doesn't surprise me. It's not
Most
natural.
It's not natural. Yeah. It's nothing about it's natural. The forward march is not natural either, but it's got a little bit of ergonomic comfort to it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And we as human beings, we move forward a lot more than we move backward. I move backward if I see a rattlesnake.
Yep.
I move backward if I see a scorpion on the ground.
I seldom move backwards gracefully, though, Mike.
Yeah. And I move backward when I vacuum clean so I don't walk over the good part.
Yeah.
And I don't run over my electric cord. So there's times we do move backward, but most of the time we're moving forward,
Right. But we're also, when we do that, I mean, let's be honest, how many centuries of evolution, there is fear in doing things that you can't see what's coming, or, if you're moving backwards, it's usually associated with discomfort or it's just nervous.
Yeah, getting away from danger.
You can't see what's behind you. You're asking me to move my legs, and and it's not natural. It doesn't. It's not the way we were designed.
Yeah, you're right. As human species, the eyes are on the front of our head because we're predators.
Right.
And
we lean forward, and we move forward.
Same way a cow's eyes are on the side of its head. It's not a predator, so it sees behind itself much easier than we do. So here we are in science, man. We're going across all the curriculums.
But what's great is
super teachers.
As a teacher, if we understand that, then it helps us be patient as we teach these processes. Yes. I know this isn't natural, but let me tell you how to do this so it looks natural.
Yes. Just to throw this in from what you just said, never teach how to backwards march in a block.
Exactly.
Because they will do it wrong because they're scared to death. They're going to run into something.
It's going to look like a 35 car pile up in a NASCAR race.
Yeah. I mean, that's common sense. So put them in a circle.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah.
Put them in a circle. They'll all face the center of the circle.
Good.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Get our Luther Vandross.
My squeaky voice just popped.
Yeah. But have them march away when they know that there's 50 yards of emptiness behind them, and it's even field, so it makes it work a lot better. Okay, so here we go. Backwards march. We've gone through all this processes. Now go through the brass tacks. We pull the heels up on the tay or the and before count one. We used to say push and one. The push is now when the feet come up, the heels come up, and then we push back with our right foot to push our left foot back. We do not reach back with our left foot. Because if we reach back with our left foot, we're going to bend our knee. The best example, and it doesn't work this well in West Texas because we have very little water. Okay. But if you've ever been on a boat and someone's at the wheel and they've taken care of the engine and your job's to untie from the dock, right? So you lean over, you untie from the dock. You've got one foot on the dock, one foot on the boat. Do you push away from the dock with the foot on the dock, or do you pull
you fall in?
Yeah. But you push away from the dock. You don't pull with your foot that's in the boat.
Right.
You don't pull, you push away. And so that way, like you said, because if you do it the other way, and let's say if I put my right foot on the dock and I use my left foot to pull the boat away from the dock, I'm going to fall in.
But we can even go deeper on that. The fact is, your weight's on the dock.
Yes.
Your weight is on the foot that's on the dock.
Yes, just like backwards marching.
So your ankles and your hamstrings typically aren't strong enough to pull you back in. You have to push that weight with where your leverage is, where your strength is.
Yeah, especially if I'm on the lake because there's beverages involved. I remember driving.
Once again, if that offends you, you're in the wrong podcast.
Yeah, Scott Rent's a really good friend of mine. Owns Rentec Boiler, and he had a place at PK, and we'd go at my ex-father-in-law's place on PK, and I would slow down by his dock because he would throw me a beverage so I could catch it in the air while my son's wakeboarding. He'd throw it, and I'd have to make a couple rounds. He'd waste a couple because either him or me, I'd get hit in the head, but as the day drew on, it was harder to catch. I don't know why. I must have just been more tired.
His aim got worse.
It was a combination of muscle failure, But again, if that offends you, you're in the wrong place. If you find that interesting, we can go to PK together and have a blast. And we'll talk about marching for 10 minutes, and we're going to wakeboard and just run the heck
Mike,
out of a boat.
I'm afraid I'm about to offend you, but so many things that we've talked about, and this is included in our backward step. These almost feel like I'm just going to say it. This is like a moonwalk. That's how you moonwalk. You push with one foot and slide the other.
Yeah, except for the knee bend, because on a moonwalk you do lots of knee bend.
Right, but even the forward thing. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos where it looks like they're actually airwalking.
Yeah,
they're just using the opposite foot to push, while the one foot's barely off the ground is just gliding out there.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm not saying we incorporate that, but
it's a tough technique if the kids aren't used to it to teach, and
it's also hard here
to force them to do it. But once they do it, it's like all the light bulbs start to click on. You can almost see it.
You almost have to turn the logic part of your brain off.
Yeah, because it just feels more comfortable.
Right.
When you play, and also you play, it's so much easier to play on any instrument, whether it's a snare drum, bass drum, a piccolo, whatever. Okay. So we slide back, the heels remain slightly off the ground. 1 inch rise is usually about where the sweet spot is. We already talked about that. The heels stay up until close point of the move sequence. Okay. And the push from platform to activate the quads to push back from the platform of each foot is very important. So you're always pushing using your quad muscles, are just following the push from the opposite foot. It's one of the corollaries to the rule of the opposites.
Right. But I like that. Don't reach with that foot.
Yeah, don't reach with the foot moving, because that's how we do it. If I walk out of my Ask Mike cave and I walk out in the parking lot and I walk down the sidewalk and I see a rattlesnake, I am not going to push with my right platform so I can logically and with fluidity, I'm going to scream like a little girl. And these legs, my knees are going to be up above my ears as I'm moving backwards, because that's what's more natural to us. So once we teach them the unnatural way to do it, because it's more naturally pleasing visually and it's more naturally pleasing musically to do it, then they will believe you.
It's also where that strong visual comes from. These people are in control. They look fluid.
Yes. And guess what? They look all the same. And it's easier it's easier to execute the teaching of fundamentals because it's easier to clean. Okay. One thing to help out with that, have the kids look to the horizon to control their upper body, because they will tend to look at if they're in a block for whatever reason, they'll look at the heels in front of them, or if nothing else, they'll tend to look at the ground in front of them. Have them look out into the horizon, and that'll make their body stay more still. I like to ask them, it sounds real simple, but it works. And I'll keep repeating it throughout this process. But I tell them, keep your nose still.
Okay.
Make where your nose is not going up and down and your nose not going right and left. And once you do that, the rest of your body follows. I say it's like whiskers on a cat. Cats have whiskers so they know they can get through an opening.
Right.
So they can feel it with their whiskers. If it's too tight and constricted with their whiskers, they back off.
Right.
Okay. Now, us as human beings, our nose will dictate how the rest of our body flows. So if you keep your nose perfectly still, then your head will be still, your shoulders will be still, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And so that's a very good vocabulary moment to keep your nose still. And they know what all that entails. So you don't have to go through the whole process 400 times. We relate it to, remember Mike's band rules for concert band?
Sure.
It relates to the same idea. You just mentioned one little vocabulary word, heels close to the ground. Keep your nose still. Make your shoulder blades pinch. All those things. One is a simple one to throw in that's important is the rule of the 90s. Have you ever heard that one before?
No.
When we hold our horn up as bell fronts, there's a 90-degree angle between our abdomen and our upper arm.
Okay.
Then there's a 90-degree between our upper arm and our lower arm. Then there's a 90-degree between our fingers and our elbows. That's the rule of the 90s. There's 3 90-degree angles. And if you want to add the fourth one, if you like I like to, it's 90 degrees between your toes and your heels on the ground, on the turf, on the deck.
Sure.
So there's 4 rules of 90. So as long as they can see those 90-degree angles, then you can say, rule of the 90s, guys, and you'll see everyone straighten up instead of
Right.
going, your elbows are too close to your torso. Rule of the 90s. And
Yeah.
they'll go, oh, crap, Mr. Lunney, you caught us again.
Right.
We're trying to remember the song, the tune. Okay. Lift heels up in a slow, controlled descent to find that point of body weight control. We already talked about that. Nice little exercise. Okay. On both backward and forward march, there's a transfer of weight on the step off. And our job is to split the body weight between the feet. We call it half and half drill. Body sternum follow the motion of the foot. There will be a slight movement of the upper body on step offs. This is to help to focus the drill move and not cause us to lean in the prep count.
Right.
And that's not something you necessarily read daily to the kids, but you work on it daily with the kids.
I was just thinking Rule 19 could apply in a different perspective. Wiggly bodies.
Yeah, wiggly bodies make wiggly sounds. Hey, I'm going to use that. Yeah.
That's funny.
So we can get that, so we can march forward and march backward. And you have to have time to review little portions of this every single day. And as you teach drill, I'll throw this in as band hack number 4,000 or whatever. But I see so many bands that teach drill by, all right, we're just moving from this point to this point, slop over there and figure out the amount of counts. They don't say it that way, but that's what the kids are doing. But
Right.
every single time, even the first time they ever move a drill set, when you say, go to set 15, stand in that set, and you clean it. And then you go back to set 14. Now show me -1 of how you got into set 14. Now let's march those 16 counts to set 15. Show me a +1 at set 15. March, 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 march. They freeze, and then you fix it. Okay.
Right.
And then you go through that process. But during that process, they are marching with the best fundamentals they can do. It's never stomp, 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 stomp. Hey, I made it. Because the goal is not to stomp, 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 stomp. The goal is to march between sets. Okay. So that's just a little thing to don't allow them to do that. It's easy to say. And I will, of course, it's easier for me as a clinician because I don't have to see the long term. I can stop and say, let's do that until we do it with fundamentals.
Right.
We're not going to move past the first 16 counts until I see that being done adequately well by 90%. 90% buy-in is a first division.
Okay.
So we tell them that. So we work them until they finally give in. The beating shall continue
Till morale improves.
Until morale improves, until fundamentals are correct. Bum, 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 bum. We're building pyramids, boys. Okay. So, and then the next one is definitely controversial. Mark time. And I put this in my little handout. I never use this in a show. There's never a time in a show that we're actually marking time. And I say that never is a dangerous word, isn't it? There might be a point where we cover down in these big, huge front to back line segments, and we'll do like 4 counts. I call them cheater steps, and they're really marked times where they can kind of move their heels and they can kind of wiggle over just a little bit. Okay. But we try to leave it out. Okay. But we use it all the time in horn arc practice.
In what?
Horn arc, when you're rehearsing music with the horn and arcs.
Had to make sure I heard that right.
Not fart arc.
I have to tell you that it's probably going to lessen everybody's opinion of me. I still think though that 4 count mark time in silence before that last big push is just one of the coolest things that I can remember ever doing. When it's totally quiet and the band is popping that mark time around and you face forward and just blow everybody out of the stands. But that's because I'm old and that's how we used to do it. So
yeah, you are old.
I don't hide from it.
Yeah. And I would push back respectfully against that. I said, there's something really cool about total visual and auditory silence before a massive impact with a cool body move, not even a step off.
I think that's what I just said.
Oh my God. But no movement at all. What I mean?
I got it. 4
counts of visual and audio silence.
What are they doing?
Yeah. Everyone in the halftime is eating popcorn. They go, huh? And they look like everything. It's like in the Baptist church when there's silence, we panic.
Right.
As a Baptist, we panic. There must never be silence.
What
Baptist
kills
church,
me though is that
wrong
we
is
say
happening.
this all the time, but that's the perfect example of sometimes silence is louder
Oh yeah,
than music, and
did-
or the importance of rest and
yeah,
silence in any music.
yeah.
But
I'd always tell them. So we got 4 counts of visual and audio silence, followed by slap your mama.
slap your mama.
That's an old redneck term. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys. But followed by slap your mama.
that's
Get
funny.
their attention, get their attention. But they do it in step outs, in mark times. The knee pulls forward in the prep count, just like the breath count. Knee and heel are at the end of the range of motion on the T of each beat. So on the upbeat, the heel is all the way down on one foot, heel is all the way up on the other foot, and conversely. Right. So you're basically just moving your heels up and down. And with this, I know it's controversial in a way because some people like to do it where the whole foot comes off the ground, especially drum lines, because it's more logistically favorable to a drum line to mark time with the heels, with the whole foot like a platform. Not very good for woodwind brass players. It creates a lot of wah, 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 wah. So I like to do it where the knee comes out to the front, no further than the edge of the toe. The patella comes to the edge of the toe. The kneecap comes to the edge of the toe. And so it's not like a bicycle step.
Sure.
And on close, you just return to your normal attention foot position. And it does look.
We used to do this all the time in warm-ups or learning our music. Let's play from the beginning to measure whatever, but mark time. And so we would just stand in concert form or even in front of our chairs inside.
Yeah.
Do you promote that? Do you see issues with that? Is that
No, I do. And we go one step further nowadays. We call them step outs. So the kids already know their drill.
Okay.
So in horn arc and percussion, usually I do it in I call it a school circle, and we'll go into that later, what a school circle is. All these vocabulary things, it seems like a lot, but once they learn the vocabulary,
sure,
you never change it. By the time they're seniors, they can use school circle and they can use mark times and they can use it as a teacher. Okay. Right. So a step out is when they're marking time, and then it's time to step out after 16 counts. They literally, with their left foot, push the right foot in front of them, touch the heel. The next count, bring it back and continue marking time. And it's in the direction in which their drill moves. It might be at 30 degrees, might be straight in front, might be behind them, whatever the move is. And they also add in all their body movement.
Right.
Okay, so their body movement's incorporated in that. So it's not the old days of, and I did it forever with just mark time because I think that's very advantageous, but it allows them to concentrate on the music and concentrate on the drill and body movements at the same time without the mental heaviness of figuring out where am I at on the field?
Right.
Am I going to run into somebody?
So you don't have to worry about your geo point. You're just doing the motion with your, I get it.
Yeah.
But I think I can say I understand better now, when I watch Carolina Crown drop the hammer.
Yeah, you've seen them do it, haven't you?
And even in their warm-up, they're doing that stuff. So
yeah, and you don't realize unless you kind of have done it before, you don't realize that's not just for the warm-up. They'll be doing portions of their show, and that's exactly where they go into a body move.
Right.
That's
and exactly I was thinking to myself, why are they doing a jazz square? What is it?
Yeah, because it's in their show.
Right. Okay.
And it reinforces their understanding of the musical and visual phrases and how they go together.
So
music and visual.
Great opportunity to use mark time there. That's all I was really trying to get to. But
yeah. And, if you don't want to do the full step out thing, maybe just do it where the step out, no matter what, is always to the front.
Okay.
Simplified form at year one. They don't have to do everything. The body movements aren't part of the horn arc. Or how you see some practice pads where they have the circles drawn?
I do.
And that's a lot of times that's what that's for.
Okay.
They get on circle 3. And then they get on circle 3, percussion on circle 2, guard on circle 4. And then they get on those circles. So they have a staging point. So you have to say, you remember those days? You spend like 30 minutes. No, scoot up, scoot back. No, we're too close to each other. So, okay, circle 4, 1 step or 2 step alignment.
How faster is that? Yeah.
Yeah. And they just go out and they just do their arms out and they touch fingertips and we're done.
That's great.
and we're done. So it works. So simplify it as much as you need to do those step outs. Things to watch for though, if you're doing step outs, look for the correct mark time technique for uniformity.
Okay.
Not because you use it in the show, but because it's part of your step outs. And the step out must convey the same quality as any first step of drill. It conveys to the audience style, direction, distance, and tempo. Those four things are established in the very first step of
I
any
can see
drill
that.
move.
It's a great point. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that, kids or performers or band directors. The first step's always seen as, we just step off and now we get to business. It's almost like, hey, we learned our music. How about those dynamics?
Yeah, but it's just the first impression, Mike. You don't want to have to win them back because you were sloppy on the first step. Even if you're going to be perfect the rest of the time, they remember that sloppy.
They do. Everyone remembers the sloppy moment. Okay. Eliminate any upper body motion while doing the step out, either side to side or some kind of weird leaning back or leaning forward. Okay. Watch for the tendency to bend the back leg when doing the forward step out, because they will bend their right knee as they do that mark time. And the mark time comes as they move that leg out, because it's easier to move your left leg.
Sure.
It is. So really kind of no. Keep your opposite leg straight when you're doing that. This isn't a modified straight leg technique. This is like a backwards marching straight leg technique, which, by the way, I never mentioned that. In backwards marching, my belief is it's always straight leg. It's just easier for me. And I know a lot of people do bent leg marching technique. A lot of drum corps do. Santa Clara, Cavaliers, Boston Crusaders. They do a bent leg backwards technique. All power to them. I don't have the rehearsal time that they have. So
Right.
I have to simplify it.
I just think tempo dictates some of that too.
Yeah. And especially if you want to simplify, I've seen, this will blow your mind, but I've seen marching bands march a whole show where no one marched backwards.
It does
Makes sense.
Listen, degree of difficulty.
Yeah. If your kids are like, had a 4-4-3 the year before and there's not a real strong band culture, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'd have everyone on the blue dot on the grid, and I'd have everyone marching forward and doing turns like the old days.
Yep.
To do a drag turn, and we're going backfield now, guys. And there's not a slide in the show.
Right.
Just do it, and just have them where they can play and do some sort of marching.
You got to teach them how to walk.
Yep.
Or they can run. And
then there's, of course, the forward to backward. And when they stop on the push, what would be the platform touching, when they would normally close, instead of closing, they just push back with that left foot, and they push back with that right platform. So the left foot most of the time stays in about the same place. But I'm not a real strong believer in the deadbeat, the kill step, where it's like, okay, we're marching backwards. There's one count where nothing moves. That's really hard to teach. I like to do it where I call it rearticulate with the left foot, because their backward step is almost never the same size as how they were forward marching. It's almost always smaller, isn't it?
Right.
And so they just have to move that left foot in time to make it work. Left leg remains straight while the platform of the foot is on the ground. We've already talked about that. Talk about rearticulating. Any step size and direction change, this is an important one, asterisk, big giant asterisk. Any step size and direction changes occur on the first count of a new drill move.
Always on one.
Always on one is always the platform of the right foot.
Okay.
Think about that. It's always the platform of the right foot. Now, always is a dangerous word, because there might be a moment where we can't do that. But I like to go with that belief. It works for me. And backward to forward, just as above, but in opposite. Okay. The right foot will touch platform before you close in with your left. You rearticulate with your left heel. Whatever direction that's going to be in the count prior to the change of direction, that absorbs, redirects the energy from backward to forward. Okay. And the left leg, of course, remains straight, just like we were if we're moving backwards. And push in one, the left foot, I call it do the flip. And, it's like you're marching on your platforms, and then it's like push and one, and your left leg does that little push flip one. And I even sometimes have them vocalize it that way, push flip one, to make sure they know that's when their left leg flips, left foot flips, goes from platform to heel. Now they're in a forward motion right there.
Okay.
We'll say this about backward to forward and forward to backwards. The only exception to keeping your body weight over the platform is when you're lining up in big giant files that are coverable from front to back. There's those times when I'll tell the kids, put the weight on the line. And that's going to feel awkward to them, but it'll make sense if you see a band do it. The only way I can't describe it very well. I can show you if I had a 70-piece band in front of us right now, and I could make them do it one way and make them do it the other way. But there's times when you're covering down and they're crossing each other, and then maybe they're stopping and then turning direction, or maybe they're moving forward 8 counts to mesh the lines, and they back out of it. And all they're doing is pushing their foot in front of them. Their bodies never line up. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Their bodies never line up. So you have to tell them, push the weight of your body all the way over your right platform. This is not half and half.
Well, I was going to say, too, just because you mentioned if you had a way to give them a visual example, I also think if some of this is coming at you fast, pause, go download these notes, back up a little bit, and go along. That's what I've been doing. I've been looking at the notes while he says it. It makes so much more sense.
Yeah. It just takes a little bit of studying, but once you learn it and are able to teach it, it just becomes like second nature. I can work a band in marching fundamentals, and I can just go through the process with a little 3x5 note card that I have the order in which I teach things.
But it's just like anything. You know how hard it was to explain how to jump rope step by step?
Yeah.
You just have to get where you can do it, where all the motion, it goes together, and you don't have to, you go, oh, I get it. Or riding a bike.
Yeah.
You're thinking about every single motion you're making until you're not.
Yeah. And the really cool part about learning marching compared to riding a bike is that riding a bike, you got to do everything at once.
Yeah.
Or you're going to fall down.
Right.
With marching, take your time to figure out exactly our posture. Take your time to figure out exactly how we're going to step off. Don't leave it until it's learned.
Right.
And learning it is not you just simply saying it. Learning is you've taught it and they've absorbed it. And that's when teaching, otherwise just talking to a brick wall, Right. So kind of,
and I'm telling you, Mike, you can see the light switch when it flips and they get it and they comprehend. You can see it in their body language, in their eyes. Don't leave it till that happens.
Yeah, we're a good band hack for that when they make eye contact with you.
That's true. Yeah,
that means they've got it. I always look at the group. I'm looking side to side, and if they're all looking at the ground, it's like I didn't do that well.
Right.
I need to do that.
Let's go back over that.
And I look at them after we do it, and they all look right back at me. I think we just learned that.
Cool.
So something, or you can just tell them, hey, hold your horn up in the air and wiggle it if you understand. At least you figure out if they're listening.
Right.
Some kids are just staring at you like, what did he say? Yeah. Well, your horn's not wiggling in front of me, so I guess you're not listening. Okay. The next one is a slide. And a slide is a maneuver that permits the upper body to face or project in a certain direction, while the lower body is moving in the line of travel. And these slides are achieved by employing one of two basic techniques. Okay. There's things we've got to do. And this sounds complicated, but once you learn it, it's easy. The upper body can remain stationary and the lower body shifts. Or the lower body stays the way it is already moving and the upper body shifts. Those are the two things that happen, but it's one of those moments in drill that's not like a body movement, because a body movement, our upper and lower body have to move with fluidity together. And in slides, it's like two separate entities moving. Okay. The upper body, lower body. Lower body, I'll just do that one. Lower body maintains its orientation while the upper body rotates in the desired direction. And I like the shoulders, divide the rotation between hips and shoulders and neck. Hips only at 45. Okay. Then you do your shoulders to maintain a little bit more. And then finally, your neck and upper body do the rest of it, where you can project really well without trying to twist, and where you can't breathe because your rib cage is all bent up.
Your muscles are constricted. Right. Got it.
Yeah. And kids will try to do it fully. And these kids, some of them are in really good shape. They can do all 90 degrees just with their hips. Me, I'd have to call a paramedic if I tried to do that. But the goal is to make it all look the same. So the ones that are really in shape, that are like ballet dancers that dance Swan Lake every December, you can't let them do what they do just because they can do it.
Right.
you know, you've got to make where everyone does it the same way. A real good slide technique check exercise. Have them set down, stack their horns on the sideline, have them set them down, get on the field and hold their palms together with their arms extended in front of their bodies. Now rotate to the slide positions, but don't bend the elbows. That will force the correct hip angle.
Okay.
And that will force it. There's no way to do it incorrectly. I mean, if you do it incorrectly, it's because your elbows are bent. You know, some don't bend your elbows. I can't do it. You can if you do 45 degrees only with your hips and then do the rest of the 45, and have it done that way. Another hack to throw out at them, I think in our last 8 years of my career, we never had a 90-degree slide. The judges didn't know that.
Right.
The drill was written when they slid 16 counts across the field, but they ended up 4 counts closer to the sideline. No one ever knew the difference.
Right.
But the kids could do it better because they're not contorting their body at such a high angle. So sometimes it's easy for the drill rider. Sorry, drill riders. It's easier for them on pieware or whatever just to slide it over 16 counts. It takes one extra step for them to do it, and then they have to think about it. So that makes it hard for them. Okay. So, sometimes you got to tell your drill rider, actually, I don't want a 90-degree slide because we're playing at fortissimo on the final hit in the third movement. We don't have time to contort our bodies and figure this out. We need to be 6 counts in front of our previous set at the end of this as the whole band moves. Okay, so use that to your advantage. Don't be afraid to ask your drill rider to do things that maybe they wouldn't do naturally. Okay.
Right.
Because we just see it so much. Drum corps can pull it off so well. But if you look close, like the band geeks do, sometimes they kind of fudge a little bit,
Right.
for the sake of clarity and execution. Okay. Hip shifts, work them in a circle because it's hard to do in a block. Let's move 8 counts and then you shift your lower body where you're marching forward. Now, after count 8, you're doing the right platform on the ground and you're twisting your lower body to now march backwards around the circle. And you do that every 8 counts. And that has to happen in the show somewhere for somebody. I mean, it's almost impossible to get away from. So it's something you've got to figure out. Are they doing the hip shift in the show on a certain yard line? Is a certain count that you're having each kid do it? I like to use yard lines. Trumpets, when you move across the 45 side 2, that's when I want you to do a hip shift. So they see it coming, it's here, and shift. And the judges will be very understanding of such. Okay. So
Right.
hip shifts, I would always do them in a circle because you can see everybody and they can see everyone across the circle to do it.
Cool.
Then we go to box drills. We've done those forever. Just do box drills for all techniques, slides, direction changes. It does everything. Forward march, backward march, all in one tidy little exercise like Ronco. And no, there's more.
But wait.
But wait, there's more. But you can do box drills. You can add fundamental music to it. You can add concepts of the show. Realize that everything's the platform of the right foot. There's one that comes up with kids will ask this forever when you're teaching drill. They'll say, do I shift with my right foot or do I not shift with my right foot? When I'm moving forward, because I'm moving forward, but I'm not moving a whole lot of a different angle.
Okay.
Does it make sense to you in modern drill? Because the kids get confused on that. And so we're consistently just all the time answering this question, watch them move, and then we tell them, no, don't do that on the right platform. Do that just by using your right foot still on heel instead of a platform move and just adjust the angle for the next step. Is that making sense?
Yep.
Okay, good. And if it's not, just have the guys and gals out there just rewind it and listen to it. And I think it'll make sense to you. We have what we call rule of the cone. Okay. Rule of the cone with feet in regards to roll through or platform change. So we have them, I do 90 degrees with toes apart. So I have them stand in that first set and I have them stand at attention. So now look at your feet. That's a very direct command. Look
Right.
at your feet. Now, is your next move past a cone that you would draw from your toes going out to infinity? If it is, then you're going to do it on your platform. If it's inside the cone, you're always going to roll through with your heel of your right foot. We just call it the rule of the cone. So it's like an ice cream cone that goes on forever. So it's from your heel to your toe drawn out. So that way, the kids ask, that's the first thing I'll say back to them. I'll say, stand at attention, look at your cone. Is it past the cone or is it inside the cone? It's inside. Okay, then what are you going to do? I'm going to roll through with my left foot or my right foot. That's correct. Okay, same thing, a band hack. They'll say, do we march backwards or forward to get here? Okay, this is a simple one because kids are in such good shape. They can march backwards marching and move 2 steps forward on the field, going 16 across the field.
Right.
They're amazing, but I always tell them, is your next set further front field? Yes, it is. You're moving forward.
Right.
Is your next set behind where you're standing right now? Yes, you're marching backwards. There's no compromise on that rule. It's always going to be that way. But you'll watch them and it's like an optical illusion. You're going, oh my God, it looks almost correct, but something's wrong. Oh my God, they're marching backwards going forward. They're just taking 16 counts to do it, to move 2 steps forward, and then they stop at the end, and the kid next to them is marching forward. And I'm trying to figure out, why aren't they all doing it the same? It's because some are in better shape than others. Okay, so that gets us through. That's the tough part, man. We've just gone through the meat and potatoes of marching band. If you can do that with good posture, you can have success at halftime. You can get as far as you want to with your show in a contest type situation. Some other items to consider, think about: cover for your band, graduated step size. We do so many things at 8 to 5. How many times do we march 8 to 5 in our show nowadays?
Only if we're going up and down the field.
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
It's not like Mr. Lunney junior high drill. When I was in junior high, we never did anything but 8 to 5.
Right.
But do it 12 to 5, do 16 to 5, do it where it changes in the middle of a drill move. So go 8 steps, 8 to 5, then 8 steps, half steps, and then platform close, just to get them used to the consistency of changing. Use block formation for full band. Encourage your leadership, and if you're lucky enough to have staff and leadership, use circles for smaller groups because they get better visibility and engagement by the participants. Because how many times, and I say this because I just clinic quite a few groups, how many times do I see leadership take their little trumpet section over to the side and set them in 2 rows of 6 and then stand about 15 yards away from them and shout instructions as if they were a band director?
Right.
They do it every time. So
right.
Stop it. Put them in a circle around you and stand in the center where you can see everyone that's 5 yards from you and have them work on what you just worked on. And you do it full band, breakout groups. I hate to say that because it sounds like in service. Breakout groups, full band, breakout groups, however. But you student leaders, just don't allow them to work as a group where there's 4 trumpet section leaders working 16 trumpets. Lord help me. Have one of the leaders work being a leader. The other 3, get in the block with the band or get in the circle with the performers. Make sure all the staff and student leaders understand exactly what you want. Your job at this point is not to teach the band. Your job's to teach the leadership and staff. Your job's to run around like a chicken with its head cut off from group to group going, this is how I want it done, or pull the leader to the side. You're not doing this the way I said to do it. I want you to do it this way so it'll look the same as the clarinets.
Right.
So that's your job. Your job's not to teach the band at that point. You can't do everything, but you can do it. You can compartmentalize, but even Superman lets others help.
Agreed.
Consider stations. I learned this from my athletic director. Allow certain leaders to teach the same skill over and over and over and over and over. And you just have a big old foghorn. You go, whack, and then you set your timer for 4 minutes, and they all shift like a golf scramble. They all shift and they go to their new station, and guess what? The same leader's teaching the same backwards march.
Got it.
So they get really dadgum good at teaching backwards marching instead of telling your sophomore trombone section leader, you must do all of this correctly. You're telling them you must do a forward march correctly. And then they do it. Okay. Flutter step, we already covered it in the previous podcast, but can always use repeating. It's a platform, first, every time we're marching our platforms is turnout. when you start, but then it's like the Nordic track thing. You're moving the legs side by side. Do it in time first so you can get the posture and the leg shape. No defined step size, except for saying don't take big steps. Then go faster until you eventually ask them to do small out of time steps. And believe me, they're pretty good at doing small out of time steps if you tell them to. Um,
or not.
yeah, or not. You'll have the OCD all-state clarinet player that's, I can't do this. My feet must move in time. So you must disconnect because, usually at a flutter step, I can't think of a time I've ever had my kids playing at a flutter step.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's almost impossible. I suppose it could be done. Keywords to use, small steps, fast steps, good posture. Keep your upper body still, arms and equipment still. Push your equipment and your fist away from your body. Chin is up. Don't look at the ground. Keep your nose still. These are all vocabulary words that you can just buzzwords. You just shoot at them. Have the leadership keep shooting it at them while you're marching. For a while as a band director, it's hard for me to do, but to just shut up for a while, have the leadership shout them out. Say, leadership, your job's to shout out things that need correcting. And they will. They'll Derek, get your chin up. Mike, smaller steps. And they're not yelling at kids. They're just shouting out leadership things or the buzzwords. Right. And the kids will listen to their peers just like our moms and our dads, they will tune you out quicker than you can believe. Okay. And there's lots of info on the full packet. Like Derek said earlier, go back and work, listen to it, take some notes, download the notes, write your own notes, but work on fundamentals. I guarantee you in performance, it doesn't take long to expose the performers who are disciplined from the ones who are not disciplined. Yeah. It takes about 3 steps. And here we are. Okay. Some will, it'll cause strife. We talked about that before. Become disciplined people. Do the things that you don't necessarily like to at that moment for the long-term goals. No one likes to be around undisciplined people. Nobody. Even undisciplined people don't like to be around undisciplined people. They hate it. They're just too lazy to be disciplined. Okay. Fight the battle every dang day.
Right.
It's more important than learning the show. You'll learn the show in like 1 week. I know that there's people out there rolling their eyes at me right now. I can feel it. But you will learn the show so quick. If they understand the fundamentals at such a deep level, they can't do it wrong. Right. Everything fundamentally is correct. Every body movement is correct. It's easy to teach music and drill. A monkey can do that one banana at a time. It's hard to teach fundamentals. And that's why I'm going to put directors in the spot. That's why you don't want to do it.
Right.
Because it's hard to do. Get off your butt and do it.
It also probably feels like you're being combative all the time.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man.
I get it. That's what I'm saying. That's what you signed up for, brother.
It's fun to be pissed off.
It's fun to be pissed off.
It's boring to be average. Be pissed off to a certain level of like, I'm not letting y'all go more than 16 counts, and we're going to do it right. We're going to go to contest with 16 counts this year. Congratulations.
Right. But it's who's running the asylum.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, my friend. Now I need to calm down.
You got stoked, brother.
Yeah, I got stoked. I got in my clinic mode, man. Y'all get with it or I'm leaving.
That's great. All right. I'm going to say it again. All this is available to you. I've noticed that Rick in the chairs put the link up there a couple of times. There he is. And so download the stuff and go back and listen again. The intention is not to show you how much vocabulary Mike knows. The intention is to show you how to make your group better.
Yes.
But to do that, you got to be better too.
Yes.
So, all right. And what's the quote we used last episode from Saban? Undisciplined people do dumb things.
Yes. Undisciplined people do dumb things. Disciplined people do smart things.
So let's all be smart.
Let's all be smart. Let's not be stupid.
Right. Cool. All right, brother. Well, I think that's enough for him to chew on this week.
Yeah. I gave him enough homework.
That's great. And I hope everybody's having a great beginning to your marching season. Let us listen, we got a couple more of these. Use this stuff. This is going to help you. Mike, I appreciate you sharing so much.
Hey, you bet. It's been a blast.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good.